Welcome to CrashMagic. Today we're going to look at the card trick, the Travelling Aces. We'll start with the performance, followed by a full tutorial of this card trick, which is really easy to learn. Let me show you a card trick, and for this trick we need the 4 aces. So let's go through and find them in the pack. There's 2, 3 and one more. There we go. So we've got the 4 aces, and I'm going to lay them out on the table now. So we'll start with the ace of clubs, ace of hearts, ace of spades, and now the ace of diamonds. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to put 3 cards on top of each of these aces. And 3 for the ace of clubs, there we go. And now I'm going to turn the aces face down and put them underneath each of those cards. So for each of these pile of 4 cards, I'm going to put the ace at the bottom. Okay, let's collect the piles up. And maybe you think as I was putting the aces underneath, I was slipping them in between or not at the bottom, but let me just show you now that the aces, for each pile of 4 cards, the ace is the bottom card. So the ace is in position 4, 8, 12 and 16, which if you're playing a game of cards where there's 4 of you in the game, say some sort of whist game or poker game, obviously that's absolutely perfect, because it means every time you deal to yourself you're going to get an ace in your hand. So let's complete the deal then for this game that we're playing, and we know we're going to get a pretty good hand in this game. But of course you might not always want all 4 aces in your hand. There's going to be times where you want them, say, in this spectator's hands, or over here, or over here. Of course that's really easy to do. All you've got to do is collect all the cards up and position the aces either in the first, second, third or fourth position. But there is actually a quicker way of changing where the aces are. If we just switch one of the aces with one of the random cards from another pile, watch what we can do. So let's slip the ace underneath this pile of 4 and watch as now all 4 aces are in this pile. Now maybe you think there's duplicates in this pile, but here we have 4 random cards. And that is the Travelling Aces. Well, I hope you enjoyed the performance of that trick, and let's get into the tutorial. So this is really easy to do. There's no setup, so you can get a spectator to shuffle the cards, or you can shuffle them if you like. It's really not important, because all we need to do is find the 4 aces out of the pack, and once you've got the 4 aces you just need to lay them out on the table in any order. As I said in the performance, you then put 3 cards on top of each ace, and again this is exactly as said. There's no trick here. You do put 3 cards on top of each ace. Okay, then what I like to do is to take each ace and put it on the bottom of each pile, because that's where we need it. But the spectator will always think you're trying to do something a bit tricky here and slip it in between the other cards. So once I've done that, I always like to collect the cards up and show the spectator that the ace is indeed on the bottom of each pile. So that of course puts the ace in the 4th positions of each pile of 4. Okay, so then you deal the cards out into to 4 players really. So you deal to the 1st, 2nd, 3rd and of course finally to yourself, which is of course the 1st ace. Now to do the trick, what you do at this point, as you deal the cards out, so as you deal that final ace, you grab a finger break under the next 2 cards. So as you push off those cards, and as you're talking about dealing the cards down, you get a finger break under the next 2. So then you carry on dealing and deal 2 cards to that next player. So just make sure, of course, the cards don't split apart, but then you do 2 cards to the next player, and then you just carry on dealing as normal, which means all the aces are now going to go to that 3rd player rather than to yourself, but your spectator is going to think you're dealing all 4 aces to yourself. So now, of course, as part of the performance, you can take the bottom ace from your pile and the bottom card from any seemingly random pile, but it's always going to be this 3rd pile here. Switch the cards over and then display that all 4 aces have travelled to that other position and there's random cards at the other one. So that's exactly how I did the trick in the performance, but in the original version of the trick there is actually a slightly different way of doing it, so I'll show you that now. So if we put all 4 aces back where they were, so now all the aces are in the 4th positions again, then you can carry on the trick and start dealing to the 4 spectators, and of course the first ace is going to go with you as before, but instead of taking a finger break like we did last time, this time as you're starting to deal around that first round, I'll take the next card as if I'm going to deal it, but then stop and talk about how we're dealing around, how all the aces are going to go to this same player, and as I'm doing that I will slip that card underneath. So that card that I was going to deal, I'll slip it underneath the pack. So then you can just carry on dealing as normal, and because you've removed that card effectively, all the aces now are going to that 3rd player, and you can reveal this as in the presentation just as before. Well, that's the end of the video. If you liked it, please like it and subscribe. If you've got any comments, leave them down below, and see you soon.